Joining us now, billionaire investor Mario Gabelli, CEO and chairman of Gamco Investors. Mario, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Wilfred, great to talk about my favorite subject, investing.
Wow, very good. You paused there. I didn't know what you were going to say. Glad it was.
It certainly wasn't going to be trading.
Well, there we go. My first question, though, it does have a tint of trading versus investing in it, and that is, in the short term, with things like the election coming, with the lack of a stimulus bill, do you think it's hard to see the market rally meaningfully?
Well, when you look at 2021 on the premise the market starts discounting, you have revenues. I think revenues will be stronger. I think gross margins will be a little narrow because cost of goods sold will narrow. Tax rates is a wild card, Wilfred. One side wants to raise the corporate tax. One wants to keep it constant or lower it. As long as we keep it as a territorial versus global form of corporate taxation, we will make changes there. And then, are we going to have more leverage on companies? And then what multiple do you pay if interest rates start rising from the 60 basis points on the 10-year? So those are the elements. I think the market has discounted some of that already. And obviously on Tuesday, you'll have a little arm wrestling between the two contenders. And we'll see. So short term, just echo Bernard Baruch's comments about 80 years ago. Markets go up, markets go down, and discounting the future is always. But what happens 12 to 18 months from now when Gottlieb tells you earlier today that we'll have a vaccine, and will it work? And if it works, what stocks have been totally depressed and what stocks will do well? And how do you make, and what are long-term capital gains rates? So for taxable clients, what do you make, but also what do you keep? And so what companies will do extremely well 18 months from now when you get doubles and triples? And those are the things we're looking at. And what sectors?
What are you focused on then overall, Mario? Is it the types of sectors that have underperformed that will benefit if we do see a vaccine, as opposed to the big tech stocks that have already outperformed?
Well, we clearly are in it. 100 years ago, if we were here, we'd have the Wollstonecraft Act, the right to vote for women, and you'd have, obviously, a pandemic. Today, we have, instead of an industrial revolution, a digital revolution, Wilfred, and that is powering what you're seeing in terms of direct to the consumer, in terms of streaming, in terms of, how people shop and all the changes that are taking place. And some of those will be embedded for a long time. And companies are changing their business model. This is part of the reallocation of capital that the capitalist system does extremely well, inefficiently at times, but well over a long period of time. So from my point of view, what do I think is going to happen? You cannot have elected officials not put an infrastructure bill, fix America's surface transportation, that's the roads, has to be renewed, has to be embellished. 40% of our bridges are rated D+, up from D-. But if one collapses like Genoa in Italy, what are you going to do? How do they sleep at night? So we've got to put money into infrastructure, inland waterway, everything. And the companies that benefit like that, equipment rental companies, Ashtead in London, they operate Sunbelt in the U.S., United Rentals in Stanford. And a company that I like, which will double in the next 2 or 3 years if you get a big infrastructure bill, which you'll get, is Herc Rentals. Stocks 28 million shares, stocks 35. So, and there's a whole bunch like Grace Construction Products. So that's important. The second area is more important than that. And that is we have to worry about PPP, the planet and people and the environment. And how do we help the environment? We have to have renewable energy, solar, wind. And how do we participate in that? And we have a long list of companies that do that. So renewable energy, distribution, cybersecurity, battery storage while you're taking the wind and solar. And that is a really interesting area. And that's part of your digital change as well.